Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I have to excuse my voice, it sounds a little bit weird just because I have actually been sick for the last couple of weeks. It has been kind of depressing weather here in Norway. Instead of snow, we just the temperature stays above, just above freezing. So we have been getting rain and rain and more clouds and more mist and even more rain. So it has been very dark and grey and depressing. Anyway, I am here with a video about the light. We are celebrating the return of the light very soon at the winter solstice. And with this video, I want to talk a little bit more about several topics that are kind of important when we talk about this time of year. So I'm going to start with addressing what is the origin of the winter solstice, how was it celebrated historically, because it is kind of confusing. If you look online, very soon you will find that what we in Scandinavia are calling Jul or Jule is kind of the same as the winter solstice. And they will argue that instead of on the 21st, just you celebrate on the 24th or 25th, right? But it is actually more complicated than this. And Jul, or Christmas, cannot be placed upon the winter solstice just like this. Then we also have the tradition of Sankta Lucia, which is mostly celebrated and is most known to be celebrated in Sweden, but I can tell you, here I live on the west coast of Norway, it is also celebrated. So it is something that is returning in all of Scandinavia. And Santa Lucia is celebrated on the, was it the 12th or the 13th? I'm sorry, I kind of forget the date now. I will put the dates somewhere on the screen here so everyone can kind of stay informed about where we are at in the wheel or the cycle of the year. But so we have Santa Lucia around the mid of December, and then we have winter solstice, which this year is the 21st of December if you look astrologically. And then we have Jul or Christmas, which is celebrated 24th or 25th, depending on your cultural habits, right? But where is this coming from? What is its origins, and how does it all hang together, right? I want also to put a disclaimer, like I always do in all of my videos. I am not an archaeologist, I am not a historicist, and I'm also not a reenactor, I'm not a spiritual reenactor. I'm going to give you kind of a red line, a basics. There's so many good YouTubers and information sources out there, so if you want to learn more about the origins, you can just go and look back in the literature or look up other authors, okay? So, but I'm going to give you a general overview just so you kind of know where we are in the cycle of the year, which is kind of important, I think, if you talk about the winter solstice and the return of the light. So Santa Lucia is a very Christian tradition. It actually comes from a character named Lucia, which was a dark winter witch roaming the skies and terrifying people, something like this. Now you have to understand that these pagan traditions are dating from a time that we had a different kind of calendar. We were following the moon, but they were at the same time also following the solar calendar. So we know for sure that both the solar cycle and the lunar cycle were as important, and all of their festivities and important dates were kind of calculated in these two systems. Now again, when we are talking about the period of the winter solstice, we are starting really our adventure on the full moon of the month we know now about as December. And then we are coming into the new moon, the new moon coming after that, which was the darkest night of winter. It is the new moon, so meaning no light is reflected from the sun, and it's also the deepest point in winter time. So we have the new moon, which falls on the 30th of December this year, which falls very close to the winter solstice and was celebrated as the darkest night of winter time. And then we have what is known as Jul. And Jul is the month of January. It's also the name of the month of January. It's also the name Jul, or is coming from it, which is also originating in one of the names of Odin. The first full moon after the winter solstice was known as Jul, which and this year is falling on the 13th of January. I put it here somewhere. This first new moon after the winter solstice, January falls between, I think it's between the 2nd of January and the 2nd of February, something in between like this. Now Jul had in the 12 nights, I think it's 12 nights, and you can also see this a little bit back in like the 13 Julnisse that the Icelandics still are like celebrating in their like cultural approach to this, is the 12 nights lining up before Jul were also celebrated. And these 12 nights roughly actually begin around the winter solstice, or roughly begin around the new moon. So it's kind of like one big picture. It's lasting like a whole month, a whole frame around this returning of the light. I am much more interested in what is going on within our inner world when we are talking about the winter solstice. Where are we in the cycle of the year, but also within the cycle of ourselves, and how do we line this up, and what are the main themes, or what is the main spiritual work we can do or experience around this time of year, and how we can do it properly in a proper introspective way. So, where are we at? When we are looking back several weeks, when we were around the beginning of November, and we were about Samhain, or we were about the Álfablót, right? We were actually there talking about big themes according to the crown. We were actually leaving the crown, we were dealing with a lot of ancestry. The beginning of the year actually will come around the first week or the second week of February. We will actually be re-entering the body through the roots, where we will have the sprouting of the seeds, the first stirrings of springtime. Now we are in between those two places. We have left the body through the crown, and we are anticipating, re-entering the sprouting of the seeds, the beginning of springtime in February. We are right in the middle of this, meaning we are in this wonderful field, which is leaving the crown, coming back all the way to the root. So we are actually talking in this electromagnetic field that is surrounding the body. We are working really big time with the aura. So the first big theme you can work with during this time of the year is strengthening your aura, strengthening your magnetic field. What does the Earth's magnetic field do? It actually deflects everything that is shoot through Earth and kind of attacks it. Like, just like look up like one of these animations of like all the things the sun is shooting at us and how it is deflected through the Earth magnetic field. So our magnetic field is doing the same. It's kind of a protective layer around us, creating it very strongly, but also give us like an appearance of confidence. Confident people, way less sensitive to critiques from outside. So building up a very strong magnetic, making yourself a magnetic personality. If people come into contact with you, they have to leave like feeling filled up and charged, because you are such a strong person. Okay, so this is one of the things you can work with. When we are talking about the aura and the magnetic field, we are also talking about boundaries. Do we have strong boundaries? And what does it mean actually to have boundaries? It sounds very hard to me if you talk just like boundaries. It sounds like building a fence around yourself. But boundaries, healthy boundaries, are actually not really building a fence around yourself. What are healthy boundaries? It is a listening to the heart. It is an opening of the heart, it's a listening to yourself, and it is acting with respect towards yourself. And it's a way of saying like, I respect and I love myself too much to let this happen to me. This is a boundary. So this is also your chance at this time of the year to work with boundaries, what it means to have healthy boundaries, which is not building a wall around yourself. Our boundaries and also our magnetic field they're very interconnected with the ego. And the ego is often talked about as something that is kind of bad. But it is through the ego that we live our lives here on Earth. So it's actually not bad at all. You can look at the ego as like a sort of like ever-changing bubble around you, through which you perceive the world. Now, to have healthy boundaries is also to understand the ever-changeability of this bubble around you. Like, you are allowed to learn, you are allowed to change perspectives. And having healthy boundaries and also work with the aura in general, also meant to be greatly discouraging for having too big of an attachment to your ego. So it is in a way of healthy boundaries. Like I said, it's not building a wall at all, because healthy boundaries is accepting that you and how you perceive things and how your persona is as you go along in life is ever changing. So that means that your boundaries will also be ever changing. It is like a promising yourself that you will have a continuous respect and listening to yourself. This is what it is to work with the heart. It's what it is to work with boundaries. And in a sense, it is what it means to create a really healthy and strong magnetic field. Now, if you zoom out even more, and now we're coming to a new subject again, it's like I told you, we are left the crown and we are entering through the root in February. So we are in this field here. And a wonderful way to visualize this is the tree of life, or Yggdrasil, as you want to call it. We are really leaving out and coming back in, and we are in this in-between state. So we are, as you could say it, we are taking a higher perspective. We are zooming out. We are looking at from far away, and we are taking distance from ourselves. So it is the perfect time of year for introspection, right? It is not the time of year to make new plans and set new ideas, and this is all work for springtime. At the other side, you can also think about it like this. You are leaving here, you're entering through there, and you are making the journey. Instead of making the journey from the root up, you're taking the journey there, and in the middle of it, at the winter solstice, we are at about the same height as the heart again. Completely the opposite way than you could be at the summer solstice, right? You're looking at the same thing, but in a completely different way, and that is what makes the cycle of the year so very interesting. We're constantly working with this, not kind of dualities, but do we have the same thing, but we're looking at it from a completely different way. We're having this completely different approach, and both dualities can exist within the same reality. When we are setting these boundaries, and when we are working with the magnetic field, and when we are listening to our hearts from a zoomed out perspective, we are in a perfect position for setting new intentions. Okay? Now, we are setting intentions in a very different way than we were setting intentions in the month of August. Okay? Now, it is a very different feeling. Back then, we were really manifesting certain things, events, occasions. But what we are doing now is we are not re-manifesting new things. We are finding out new ways we can go about it. There's many different ways you can do exactly the same thing. What is your reasoning? What is your why? This is the perfect time of the year to really re-evaluate, like, why do I do things? Like, what is my intention here? Like I said, we are zooming out. What is my reasoning for things? And this will help us so much in the manifesting process. So things, the seeds we have actually sown all the way back in August and in September, which are about to sprout in February and in March. We are right in the middle there. If you have worked with manifestations, you know it's not that easy to just think about something and it happens. Like, it doesn't really work that way, right? So this is the perfect time of year to actually look at what is my reasoning, what is my why, and how do I let these things kind of happen? And is that a way that I can gain new perspectives and create more space for things to actually come true? Doing this kind of inner work is helping us tremendously in taking care of these beautiful seeds that are in the ground and are just waiting for, because the light is about to return, right? We are just on the edge, like, what is this single, like, how can we take care of this? So much for the sunlight to reach it very, very soon. We can almost give it like a golden glow around it, giving a golden glow around ourselves. So aside from doing meditative work around this, doing intentional work, what are more practical things that are belonging to this? So I find it a very practical way I find working with this is actually working with the skin, giving yourself extra skincare, taking a salt bath, giving oils on your skin, taking care of your hair, wearing soft clothing, you know, lighting the fire, make sure you're warm and cozy, like extra nourishing this boundary between your body and the world with this your skin, with this your hair. This is a very practical way to also work with this. I feel that there's also great healing in lighting fires. Lighting fires has been something that is important in all the main festivals around in the cycle of the year. But lighting fire, creating this warmth, creating the warmth that you feel on your skin, bringing evergreen things that are living outside, so things that are staying green all year round, into your house as a reminder of the ever-living life is a very practical way to work with it. And also, of course, keeping yourself nourished. And this is so in contra with how we in the modern day celebrate the festivals around this time of year, like Christmas and New Year's, etc. But keeping the food you put into yourself warm, nourishing, and simple. Simple foods, like take care of your vitamin C and D, a lot of greens, soups, vegetables, keeping it very simple for yourself. Just to end this video, like, I feel that in our modern society we have gone so far away from the spiritual core of this time of year to how it's celebrated today, and it cannot be more different. We, instead of calming down and wintering and doing introspective work, we're creating even more events to be, right? It's so busy around Christmas time. You have parties at work, the parties for the schools, for the children. You have to buy 1 trillion gifts with stuff that nobody needs. Like, you are like celebrating with such extensive heavy food, plastic glitter everywhere, just to like distract ourselves from the darkness. I read this line that we have forgotten the darkness in the night, and I think it was so beautiful. Because we have forgotten the darkness in the night. We are just filling it up with plastic glitter and really truly have forgotten how to live in the darkness and how to go about the night. So if I can give you one message, is to embrace the night, is to remember that your light, your inner light, is strong enough to survive the night. Set your intentions. Zoom out, take perspective. Most of all, be kind. Be kind to other people, be kind to other reasonings, other perspectives, other cultures. You will actually notice that your life gets richer, more golden, more filled up. I wish you a very, very nice celebration. Whatever you decide to celebrate, whatever date, moon, new moon, full moon. Doesn't really matter to me. And then we will talk again very soon. Bye.